We are going to be watching. This is for Ryan. So, what we're doing is we got a couple of rounds of Ryan doing some work. We're going to start with Ryan versus Mayhem, and we'll get into some things. There's one observation that I have that we'll spend a little bit more time on, which is Ryan spends a lot of time in not necessarily a high horns position, but there's a high guard that he has. I'll point it out when we get there. And then I want to talk about things from that position. All right. So let's, let me turn because I don't want to hear me. All right. Let's get this party started. And here we go. We got Ryan versus Mayhem. We'll blow this up a little. Good. So this is the guard I'm talking about. Now, Ryan, look at your position here. This you do this a little too often. You sort of make yourself like a pillar, but not a straight up pillar, like a leaning tower, and you post. Nope. Oh shit! The cat. Watch it. Okay. Sorry, the cat just walked across my laptop. What happened here? All right, Kitty, you can't do that. So it's a bad position. It's just a bad position to operate out of. You can see your back foot's up, you're leaning forward, and you've got that double guard. So let's take a look again. Now, even from the beginning, Ryan, what I find is I find you heavy. So you start off like a big hook. Every punch is just big and meaningful, and it's too much. We need you to have more of a rhythm rather than just, or more of a, everything is like this, and it is hard to watch. So you want to have things where you're talking a little bit fast. It's just like a conversation where you want to make your point, and then what you want to do is, it's that kind of thing. So I think that's a big issue with the way in our movement right now. Big hook. Big right hand, big jab. And look at the hands. Hands are okay there. I don't mind this, by the way. You are far enough away. I don't mind that at all. I like the disposition and I like the position. I like the baiting of him to come in. And the hands go up. And this, Ryan, I loved. Immediately, and this is what I want to talk about next. Immediately, I like your hands went into the guard and you did this. I want to rewind that. This is incredibly important. And I'll get to why. So this, I'm going to state it again. This is very important. Hands went up. So your hands went up into that guard, and immediately you slipped to your left and you threw a cross. I'm going to watch that one more time. Boom. Hands up in the guard, and immediately slip to the left, through the cross. What I would have liked to have seen here, pop, 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 jabs as you circle. I would have liked to have seen, rather than stay in the 50-50 and try to fight, jabs as you circle. Then, once Matt's sort of not stable, then start working your combinations. And see here, I love the stance switch. What I found that happened, though, is it's a nice day. But again, you could see your hands go into that guard position here, but everything. Watch your right arm. I'm sorry, your left arm here. I was going to be all cool and try to stop it there. Yeah, you know what, whatever. But you get the point. I like the switch. And again, some light jabs. Not every punch has to be heavy. Nice use of stirring the pot there, Matt. And not bad. And Ryan, I like that too. This I love. And what I liked there, the hands went into that guard position. Nice. And see how light that jab was? See how light these punches are? These are good. You need some light punches to set up the play. You can't, not that you can't. And great disengagement. I like watch what Mayhem's doing and watch your disengagement. I just like the Mayhem starts getting playful with that lead hand. There's something we can't really see what's happening. Something's going on. You don't like what you see, and you disengage. And I just think that's so good. I love a good disengagement. I like the southpaw stance. You make yourself long. And right here. So Mayhem's getting off some jabs and then goes into some Shakur taps. And you're like, you know what? I'm out. Feet came together a bit. Nice right hand. But notice what happened. You fell. You threw a nice right hand. Let's see what happened. Why did we fall from the footwork? I'm not sure. We're just off balance. And again, the hands come up to that high guard. This isn't bad. And I like immediately you went into something. Hands in that high guard. Hands in that high guard. You see how you brought your feet together? So the switch was clever. Watch the feet. Watch the feet. Right there. They came together. The switch was clever. The switch was good. You made yourself long. Boom. Made yourself long. And now I like that you're southpaw. Good. You give him a different look. We need a little more activity. We need a different type of activity. It's not what you're doing. I hope this doesn't come across as like shitting all over it. You're not doing anything wrong or bad. We've got to add some variations to it. We got to add. There's a specific word I'm looking for that I can't get to. That something that means changing your pace, going from hard to soft, fast to slow, mixing it up. Different rudiments. I just can't think of the word right now. And that was very good. I really like that double rear hand. I like that a lot. It's those jump when it's the jump steps too. It seems just you'll jump away, and I don't want you jumping so much. I don't mind a da, but that's kind of airborne. So all in all, you know what? All in all, a good round, better than like as I'm sitting down getting this ready to go over, and just using my memory of the night. This is better than I remember it, and what I want to talk about is that high guard position. This is what I find to be very important and something that you did very well. So my coach Barry Robinson always says that like Instagram isn't a development system. What I do like about Instagram is that you can find there are some things that like just make sense and are interesting. And specifically for you, Ryan, and for this. So we'll listen to Boxing with Jack. So Boxing with Jack has this is really great advice, very specifically for you, Ryan. So I'm going to play it. I'm going to turn up the volume. I'm going to shut up. We're going to listen to this. Then we'll get back to more of your work.
Stop using your high guard as a defensive tool and instead use it to set up your attacks. A bit of knowledge that we need to remember is that if I put my high guard up, I'm inviting people to throw punches at me. With this knowledge in mind, we can use the high guard to bait our opponent into throwing, and then we can counter them. You'll see Canelo do this a lot. He'll go into a high guard position in mid-range, and then as his opponent throws, he might slip off to the side and then come in with a right hand and a hook. But the one thing that he's not doing is he's not shelling up into the high guard when his opponent throws shots at him. He's using the high guard proactively to bait his opponent to throw, and then he can counter. Stop.
So what you did earlier that we showed with Mayhem, if I was better at this, I could go right back to that and edit. I'm just not that good. What you did with Mayhem, where you went into that high guard and immediately slipped to your left and threw that cross, that's more or less what he's talking about here. So someone here makes a comment. Oh, you can see who they are. Oh, they're scubas. Okay. Someone here makes a comment like, but why should my opponent throw a shot into my high guard? Why should he aim at the best guarded place? So I agree to a point. I agree with that. I think what happens is if it's a one-time thing, the hands go up in that guard, it does give someone pause. I'm not going to throw there. It's completely guarded. I'm going to look for another target. When it becomes a habit, then it's like, oh, they're just shelling up. I'll freeze them here, and my punches to that really well guarded place, I'm going to use to set up my other punches. Boom, boom, boom. His hands are frozen. Now I'll come down with that 7 or like a 6 7, like that 6 7. 6 7 for us is that rear uppercut, lead hook to the body. Or, just keeping the hands pinned upstairs and then working something downstairs or taking a different angle or whatever it is. On the one hand, Daz Nislogram, you're right. But what happens is I get someone's hands frozen there and I get to get some work in. The judges like that. It looks like I'm doing things. And the judges like that. Even though I'm not scoring any points, it looks good to the judges. Anyway, so again, there's nothing wrong with keeping your hands pinned up like that. We just got to make sure that we're doing things from that. So I found this interesting. All right, let's go back to, I might come back to this again, but let's go to Derek. Let's go to Ryan and Derek. So this is another round, and Derek is a very different boxer than Mayhem. Derek is slick, moves around a lot, so we'll see how Ryan does here.
2-minute round, boys.
And you can see, Derek's going to get off shots. Nice jab to the belly, Derek. And Ryan, you got that high guard, but we're not doing anything out of it. And I don't mind that type of exit, but what happens is you can get timed and you get predictable in operating that way. The hands come down, it's very casual, bless you, very relaxed. The feet, I'm sorry, it's fucking terrible. You're not ready. You're not ready to work. So what happens is, it's like your feet cross. This I don't want to see that anymore. I don't want to see that type of exit. You can exit casually, but keeping your fundamentals and your foundational base as is. I don't want to see that anymore. I don't want to see this anymore. You're not ready to work. Derek with a nice double hook there. And Derek does the same thing, by the way. The shell up, Derek does the same thing. But Derek's fast and he operates out of it. Nice. And Ryan, that was good. What I liked about that was Derek got his work in. You bided your time, and then as soon as you could, you threw, and I like that. So let's go back to that. Let's watch that again. See now, Ryan. See how look how off balance you are. Like you're leading with your face. You're leaning in. You're leading with your face. I do like the switch. Nice hook. I want you follow up on that hook. So you throw that hook and then you leave. Follow it up. Throw that 3-2, 3-2-1-1. Follow it up. Good, and I like that. You could, by the way, pull his fucking hand down and hit him. I like that. You pull the hand down and hit him. I like your um, proclivity to stay in that 50-50, I think is fine, but we got to get you working a bit more, not just leaning in. And this I like. You could pull that hand down and throw that hook. And see, it's you bring the hands up and you lean in and you let them work, which it's not 100% bad. What it does, but meaning you can do that to create a pattern and break the pattern. You could do that to let them think, oh, I got this. He's just shelling up. So you put the hands up like that and then immediately turn that into offense. So I'm just going to take a moment. Hold on.
Stop using your high guard as a defensive tool and instead use it to set up your attacks.
So that's what I want you to start doing more of. When you get into this position, sorry folks, master at editing, thank you, I know. Nice takedown. I like that little push too. Nice takedown. Look where your hands are. See, now here, Rod, this is where you could work some jabs, some good snapping jabs. You got to establish a presence. You don't establish your presence. You work, you're ready for defense ish. But we need you to here is jab, jab. Then you can exit.
30 seconds of work.
And see how you start to lean. The feet get too close together, too stiff. You get the right idea. We need more of a snake charmer, not the stiff arm. But you Ryan, it's the right moment, the right idea. Everything was right, just wrong execution. But you're right. You are correct. Just wrong execution. And great, by the way, great job. Derek is unloading, and there's nothing clean that Derek gets. Just this I really like. So we've talked about this before. What do you do when someone has that flurry? And this is one of the things that you can do when someone's flurrying on you. And Ryan does a very good job of this, of just rolling with the punches, rolling away, just not just standing, rolling. And notice he threw that nice short right hand that backed Derek off. Because while you're throwing that flurry, you can't see what's going on either. And you get hit with that big shot, and you either keep going, you don't know if anything's coming back, you exit. So that was very good. The only problem too with Derek's exit is he goes straight back. He's like, okay, yep, I got this. Work. Boom. Backs up. Derek, what you should do is back up and then circle. Back up and then circle. Better. And Ryan, I like better. I don't want this. I like better that you were lost my train of thought. You were throwing more punches. It wasn't just one punch at a time there. It was, there were a few punches there. And what we need more. We need a little more output. Our big theme as we head into the 2026, our big theme, both at Alton Street, both at Lucky Punch, is really a little bit, just again, we got to impress the judges. And we need a little bit more volume. We need more punching. All right, next up, we will go to Rion and Nick. Now, Nick is more in Ryan's weight class. I think about 20 pounds heavier or so, and taller. So again, and Nick's very different. So again, Ryan's got a different opponent. He's very different than Mayhem, and he's much different than Derek. All right, so here we go. And Ryan, I think this was the third round, so I know that you're tired here. But even in the beginning, you had an opportunity to establish your jab, and you didn't take the opportunity. Nick starting off slow, you have the opportunity to work your jab, move, work your jab. And again, watch what your footwork is here. Your feet are just a little bit like all over the place. They kind of fall into place. And again, with the leaning, throw a jab, then the two. The jab doesn't have to be real. It could be a light, just something to, to get you where you need to go. This was good, but then you didn't move your head. So you had some good punches there, and then just kind of admired your work at the end. Now let's watch that. Let's watch this sequence. Watch your head. Ready? Your head stays here on this line, stays here on this line, stays here on this line. You get hit. Let's watch that one more time. So your head is there. Let me go back a little more. So we're going to have a line right here. Your head's on the line, on the line, on the line, stays there, stays there, stays there, and you get hit for your troubles. And look how you back up. I mean, it's just, hold on. I want to slow this down because I want you to watch how you're backing up. Because this is an absolute. Watch your feet. So see how that foot slid and touched? I don't mind that big turnover. Watch the feet. They come, look at this. Look where your head is. If Nick follows up, you're going down. I mean, do you know what I mean, Ryan? This is not a position. You don't want to be here. And I get you got your bell rung. And again, Nick's winning the lead hand game. Nice jab to the belly. Now you got that jab to the belly. We got to follow, some follow-ups. Good. Let's watch those 3 seconds of you using your jab and Nick not being able to do something because you're using your jab. So you can see Nick wants to do something, but he can't do something because you're using your jab. Now, again, we're in that high guard, and I don't, I want to reiterate, this guard is not a bad position. It's just got to be used properly to not just let it be all the time for target practice for somebody. So as you go in this, a slip to the right too, a slip, immediately into a slip with a punch. Nice use of that lead hand, Nick. And look at that, Ryan. Look at that exit. So you're right there in the. That's where you put your hands up in that guard. I mean, you're right here. Went too far. I mean, your hands are down during that exit. And it's not that you have to have the hands in that shell or jabbing on the exit. doing something to not let that face just be there. You've got right. You got the again. I don't mean to like the leans too much. And again, I apologize if it sounds like I'm shitting all over it. Um, these are just these are bad habits that we need to fix. I think I was you know my hesitancy is as we have a smoker on Saturday. Today is I'm giving this film study on Wednesday. So I don't want it to seem like, oh my God, we have to go back to the drawing board and refix everything. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying, obviously, I think you're ready for the smoker, or else I wouldn't have put you in the smoker. So you're definitely ready. Um, these are just things developmentally that we have to fix going forward. I don't expect anything to be different on Saturday, and it's fine. You could see here, you're doing fine. I just want you to do better than fine. Nice switch, Nick. You could see there a good position for the punch, but your arms fell. I'm gonna slow that one down. Good adjustment. I mean, this we can't do this, right? We just can't do this. Does it come back up to protect? When does it come back up to protect? When does it come back up to protect? And no wonder Nick's throwing that hook. By the way, nice rear slip or nice pull. When does that hand come back up? When does that hand come back up? There. All right. So that is our film study for young Ryan. Um, I'm trying to think of a way to close this out. These are hard. I wish my coach. He's very good at being. He doesn't give a shit about your feelings. He gives a shit about your development. And Coach Barry Robinson he doesn't give a shit about your feelings. Gives a shit about your development. Gives a shit about keeping you safe. Gives a shit about good boxing. I'm not exactly wired that way. I try to be as honest as I can. And also I take your feelings into consideration. If I'm taking your feelings out of the equation, there are things that need fixing here. There's a lot of things that need fixing. I don't also want to imply that I don't want you to feel that you're not ready for the next level. I think that doing next level stuff is going to bring up your skills to that next level, which is why we're doing what we're doing. We've been doing what we've been doing for as, for as long as we've been doing it. That's a fun sentence. We've been doing what we've been doing for as long as we've been doing it, and it's time to move up to our next level, and then things will happen there. Right? It's I think you've got a lot of good stuff. I love how you love the sport. I love how open you are to feedback, and I think that next steps. I'm excited for the next steps in this. All right. So that's all that I have to say about that. All in all, Rye, I don't know why I always try to say all in all. Whatever, just whatever. Let's end it. I could never end these things. I'm going to end it with, it's over. Goodbye.